Samanta cakkavalesu atra gaccantu devata saddhammang munirajassa sunantu sagga mokkadang Dhammasavana kalu ayang bhadanta Dhammasavana kalu ayang bhadanta Dhammasavana kalu ayang bhadanta Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Dear friends in Dhamma, today you all have gathered to listen to a Dhamma sermon on Jayamaga TV channel. So listening to Dhamma is something very important in Buddhism. So preaching Dhamma and listening Dhamma. This was the method of spreading Dhamma in the Buddha's time also. So in gaining knowledge in Dhamma also, the powerful method is listening. In our tradition, we are advised how we should listen to the Dhamma. Sunatah dhareta charatah dhamme. What does this Pali quotation mean? Sunatah means we should listen well. Here we have to be good listeners first. If we want to have a good knowledge or a good understanding of what we are listening, we need to be aware of what we are listening to. So Sunatha means to be a good listener. Listen well. So if we want to listen well, we have to control our three doors. So what are those? We need to control our mouth, it means verbal door, and the bodily actions, and also other thing is mind. So controlling mind is not something very easy. So mind is like a wild animal, wild bull. It is always wandering here and there. It is very difficult to control the mind without having good leadings, good guidance. So Buddha advises us to show in the way of controlling the mind. So we need to see the mind through our mind. So mind is a faculty. So we have 6 faculties: eye, ear, mouth, nose, body, and art, also tongue and our mind. So mind is an invisible faculty. So mind can be seen only with our mind. If we want to be good listeners, we need to first control our mind. Then after our body and the verbal actions, words. So having controlled 3 doors, actually, so if we control, or if we are trying to control these 3 faculties, the meditation is there. In the Buddhism, the meditation is called developing, cultivating, using wholesome thoughts. Before listening to Dhamma or while listening to Dhamma, we have to be aware of control in our mind. Then we can be good listeners. Thereafter, dhareta. If we don't listen to the Dhamma well, carefully, so the things we listened will not come to our minds. If we want to be good Dhamma practitioners, we have to listen to well. Then after, we need to keep the things in our mind very well. Dhareta. Keep remember the things. Listen well, keep remember the things. Then after, we need to practice them. Then after, we have to put them into practice. Benefits will be coming to our life only if we are practicing the Dhamma. So when we are listening to the Dhamma also, so there are some sort of wholesome actions there. So we are listening to Dhamma. And also when we are listening to Dhamma, the desireful thoughts, the hateful thoughts, deluded thoughts would not be arisen in the mind. But the final attainment of Dhamma is Nibbana. Until reach this attainment, so we have to be in the Dhamma. We have to practice Dhamma. Charataha means practice Dhamma. So just listening is not enough. Listening is also good, and also it is a wholesome action. But we need to practice. So that's how we should listen to Dhamma. The Buddha preached about five benefits that can be taken from listening to the Dhamma. Panchime bhikkave dhammasavane anisansa katame pancha. Asutan sunati sutam paryo dapeti. Kankang vitarati ditthing ujung karoti. Chittamasa pasidati. These are the 5 benefits that we can take from listening to Dhamma. The first one is, the Buddha mentions, the Buddha preaches that there are 5 benefits in listening Dhamma. The first one is Asutan Sunati. We can hear what we have not heard. The first one is that. When we are listening to the Dhamma, we can find new things in Dhamma. Sometimes we will find the things that you have never heard in your lifetime. The second thing is Sutam Paryodapeti. You can clarify, you can develop your knowledge in Dhamma. Kankang Vitarati. If you have any doubt in Dhamma, you can make it clear. So the fourth one is Ditthing Ujung Karoti. So here Ditti means Samma Ditti. Here the Ditti Ditti does not mean the extremist views. The good understanding. So good understanding in Dhamma will be developed if you listen to the Dhamma. Chittamasa pasidati. This is very important. Why? Chittamasa pasidati. So the mind of the listener will be purified if you listen to Dhamma. How the mind can be purified if we listen to Dhamma? So when we are listening to the Dhamma, so some sort of unwholesome thoughts do not occur, do not arise in the mind. Desireful thoughts. So we have practiced so many unwholesome thoughts in our sansaric journey. Even in this life, we are practicing these types of unwholesome thoughts. These unwholesome thoughts do not happen, do not occur, do not arise while we are listening to Dhamma. So if we have to concentrate on Dhamma, we have to keep our mind on Dhamma. We have to be aware of Dhamma. So only Dhamma is acting in our mind, this desire. So the Buddhism teaches three kinds of fruit of defilements. What are those? The first one is desire, lobha, dosa and moha. Lobha means desire. So attachment. Every time we are trying to attach to something we like. And also the second one, dosa, hatred. So if we touch or if we feel something we don't want to see or we don't want to touch, the hatred will arise in our mind. So while you are listening to the Dhamma, if you concentrate on Dhamma, so this fact, hatred, will not arise in your mind. The other thing is delusion. In our sansaric journey, we have practiced so many deluded thoughts. We have practiced this delusion. So when you are listening to Dhamma, so the Dhamma does not let delusion to arise. Right? So this is how you should listen to the Dhamma. So other thing is, if you listen to Dhamma in this way, so final benefits, the fifth one mentioned in the above quotation I mentioned, Chitta massa pasidati, our mind will be purified if we listen to Dhamma carefully. So today I'm going to talk about what is Buddhism. This is a simple question. I think you may have heard this question thousands of times in your life also. What is Buddhism? But there are so many people, those who don't have an answer to this question. Even so many Buddhists don't have an answer to this question. What is Buddhism? Who is a Buddhist? How can one be a Buddhist? What is the method of being a Buddhist? So, first one, let's examine why Buddha was imaged to the world. Prince Siddhartha had a comfortable life. Prince Siddhartha did not have a simple life. So he had everything he wanted. As a king, King Suddhodana provided him with everything he wanted. So when we are comparing our lives to Prince Siddhartha's life, our lives are nothing. But Prince Siddhartha saw 4 symbols. So these 4 symbols changed Siddhartha's life totally. The Siddhartha is not just Siddhartha. He is just not a prince. He is just not a king. He is just not a boy like you. So he is the Bodhisattva. The Bodhisattva is the person who had practiced perfections in sansaric journey in many ways. So he has given up even his life for the Buddhahood. So these wholesome thoughts are there in his mind. So King Suddhodana wanted Prince Siddhartha not to see an old man, sick man, an aging man, so a dead person. But one day, when Siddhartha was traveling, on the way he saw an old man. He questioned about it. He started to think about it. This is the reality of life. The people are getting old. On the second day, the Prince Siddhartha saw a sick man. So, seeing this sick man, so Prince Siddhartha started to think of the life. Prince Siddhartha questioned the life. This is the reality. This will come to even to my life. This is the reality. The final thing, the third one is he saw a dead person. Dead person. The death comes after everyone. No one can escape these things. If a being was born to this world, he never can escape these things. These three. One day, the Buddha preached a Dhamma to King Kosala, showing about these sufferings, dukkhas. Here, the Buddha had given a great example to explain about birth, sickness, and aging, and the death. So that example is, so 4 great mountains, great rocks are rolling toward me from 4 directions. So a person sees a great rock is rolling toward him from south. Then he wanted to escape that and he started to run to other direction. Then he saw another great rock is rolling towards him from that direction also. So he started to run to east. He saw another rock, a great rock is rolling toward him from that direction also. Then he started to run to other side, other direction. He saw another rock, a great rock also rolling to him from that direction too. So there is no way to escape from these 4 rocks. The Buddha pointed the king there. The king. This is the life. This is the life. No one can escape these 4 rocks. What are those 4 rocks? What are those 4 rocks? So birth is coming after us. It is not just coming. It is coming to destroy the being. It is coming to destroy you. On the other side, from the other direction, the sickness is coming after you. You cannot escape that. You have to face it. The other thing is, aging is coming from another side, another direction. The aging also cannot be escaped. You have to face it. From the other side, the death is coming. Death is coming after you. The death cannot be escaped. You have to face it. So, but we are having a struggle to live without having sicknesses. So that's the peaceful life. If we want to have a happy life, we need to be wealthy and healthy. The Buddhism accepts that. So, however, Prince Siddhartha saw these symbols. He saw an old man. He saw a sick person. He saw a dead person. So he questioned and started to think of the life. Thereafter, finally, he saw a monk, an ascetic. Having seen this monk, Prince Siddhartha started to think this should be the solution. So the renunciation is the solution. I need to renounce this lay life. If I renounce the lay life and if I try to find a liberation for the life, the solution would be there. So, Prince Siddhartha renounced the palace. He had so many things. As I explained to you, he had everything what he wanted in his life. But he escaped everything. He renounced, he had given up everything. Having given up these things, he left the palace. So having worn a robe, so he started to meditate. Then after, the Buddha mentioned in Aryaparyesana Sutta, he wanted to find what the kusala is, what the wholesome is. King kusala gavesi. So, Siddhartha, he practiced the path of self-mortification and self-gratification. As the ascetic Gautama, also he practiced. These two ways, these two paths, self-gratification and self-mortification, are not accepted in Buddhism. So having practiced these two pathways, the Buddha realized these ways are not the way to find the liberation, the final attainment in Buddhism. So, we are having an internal struggle with our thoughts. So, practicing so many things, practicing so many perfections in samsaric journey, the Buddha finally realized Nibbana. Having realized Nibbana, the Buddha preached us what? The Buddha preaches us dukkha. Everything is. Why? Here the word dukkha should not be translated into any other words. Because if we translate it in English as suffering, the suffering does not denote the perfect philosophical meaning what the Buddha wanted to mean. So, we can have there are some sort of translations as unsatisfactoriness, suffering, sorrow, but it should be untranslated as dukkha. Dukkha is the perfect word. So life is dukkha, full of sufferings, unsatisfactoriness. The dukkha, when we say the Buddha preached that the life is full of sufferings, the life is dukkha. So one may think that the Buddhism is teaching something pessimistic. No. The Buddhism is not a pessimistic teaching. The Buddhism is not pessimistic. And the Buddhism is neither pessimistic nor optimistic. The Buddhism is realistic. The Buddhism wanted always to show us the reality of the life. This is the reality. The Buddha had shown us the reality not to suffer anymore. So one may think like if so sufferings, like life is unsatisfactoriness, full of unsatisfactoriness and so many sufferings, so many pains. If he thinks so, so he or she has to be suffer entire his life or her life. So we need to realize this. We need to realize this. Having realized the nature of the life, we have to face the life. When the decay, when the aging comes to your life, when the sickness comes to your life, when the death comes to your life, we need to see this is the reality. This is how the life goes. We need to see that. We need to see that. Having seen that, don't be suffer anymore. Realize it. Why we are having these sufferings? The thing is craving. Tanha. The Four Noble Truths are the basement of Buddhism. The first one is dukkha, the noble truth of dukkha. The second one is the origin of dukkha, dukkha samudaya arya satya. Dukkha samudayang arya satyang. The second one. The third one is the cessation of dukkha, dukkha nirodhang arya satyang. The fourth one is the way leading to the cessation of dukkha. These are the Four Noble Truths. These are the Four Noble Truths. Basing on these Four Noble Truths, the Buddha had delivered his sermons, his preachings and teachings. So, first we need to realize that there is dukkha in life. In the life, this dukkha occurs because of attachments, cravings, tanha. See, in your life, how many things are there attached to your life? Your mind, we are bounded to so many things with our mind. We have bounded to our wealth and children and money and even to your body. So the properties you have a strong attachment with these things. This attachment, how stronger these attachments, the suffering also would be the same. So then we need to try to reduce these attachments by practicing Dhamma. So Dhamma should be seen with your mind, not with your eyes. This cannot be seen just praying, just reciting. This Dhamma can be realized only practicing, and practicing means practiced with your mind. So your mind has to be a doorkeeper, like a doorkeeper. So the doorkeeper sees who comes to the house, who goes from the house. So he always protects the house without letting anyone to come to the house to rob the house, to steal the things from the house. So you have to be a doorkeeper to your mind. Never let bad thoughts, unwholesome thoughts to come to your mind. Protect your mind by yourself. So by protecting your mind, you can cultivate so many good things in your mind. So what are the good things? Bad thing is desire. Good thing is dana. So you need to avoid, you should try to eradicate desire from your mind. Until the desire is there in your mind, the peacefulness will not come to your mind. And hatred, practice the opposite, loving kindness. And also, here, desire and hatred means tanha, craving. So craving here, desire and hatred, these two are there in the mind due to the delusion. So we need to eradicate delusion, which means avijja paccaya sankhara in Buddhism. So, dear Dhamma friends, you need to be aware of your mind, see your mind, never let bad thoughts to come to your mind. Practice Dhamma, practice good thoughts, develop good thoughts, be with good thoughts, use good thoughts. So, this is called meditation in Buddhism. If you practice, if you train, if you cultivate, if you use good thoughts, the meditation is there. So, dear Dhamma friends, so we are going to wind up the Dhamma sermon. Remember the message you got from the Dhamma sermon. So, one Dhamma sermon is enough for you to change your life. Then practice Dhamma, listen to Dhamma, keep the things in your mind. So, let's transfer merits to deities, departed relatives, and so on. And let's wish Most Venerable Ududumbara Kashyapa Thero to continue this and render to the Buddha Sasana longer. So, then this is a good chance you too also to listen to Dhamma. So, let's transfer merits to deities and departed one. Everyone may happy and wealth. Akasattha ca bummattha devanaga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chiran rakhantu buddha sasanang. Akasattha ca bummattha devanaga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chiran rakhantu desanang. Akasattha ca bummattha devanaga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chiran rakhantu tvang sadati. May you be well and happy.
මෙවැනි වටිනා ධර්මදේශනා නැරඹීමට ජයමග TV YouTube නාලිකාව subscribe කර සීනුව ලකුණ ක්ලික් කරන්න. මෙවැනි වටිනා ධර්මදේශනා නැරඹීමට ජයමග TV YouTube නාලිකාව subscribe කර සීනුව ලකුණ ක්ලික් කරන්න.